Hello and welcome back. I'm your host with the most, TheChronicToast, and today we are diving right back into BeamNG.drive. That's right, the video game you play to smash vehicles and watch all of the soft body physics crumple away. Today we're diving into a scenario called Heavy Machinery Delivery. Now, before we dive into the details on this, there is probably something that some people watching through the playlist will notice. Moose Test is not the one that we're working on today. That is an interesting one that we go through, and possibly a different later vehicle, but in the current version of the game that we're playing on right now, it is broken, it does not work, so we're going to skip it. We'll come back to that later. So right now, Heavy Machinery Delivery. This one here, the description says, deliver a new Gavril T75 cement mixer to the local port. Difficulty is medium. The author is, of course, BeamNG. Creation date is July 21st, 2015, and the map is Jungle Rock Island. Now, this is pretty cool because this is really one of the first opportunities we've had to drive something that's not a little tiny car, a big off-road vehicle. It's industrial equipment, which is pretty darn cool. I'm pretty much a huge fan of this mission. So right off here it says, heavy machinery delivery, deliver the cement mixer to the local port without scratching it. Some fallen trees are blocking the road, so you will have to use an alternative path. Tips and hints, don't rush. Slow and steady wins. Now, one of the main reasons they're going to talk about that here is because this vehicle is very, very top heavy and all that fun stuff. Now, we're just going to kind of take a look at this here. You can see that the cement is currently spinning, which means we likely have cement in there, that we can't easily see it. But it's pretty cool. It's a big white T75 pickup truck, which is always cool. Has all sorts of gears. You can see that it's got a little bit of flex there, as they usually do. But, you know, you can take notice that, hey, the timer's running. We're not going to worry too much about the timer here for this first time around. We're just trying to get a feel for this vehicle. And after that, we will dive into, really, the mission itself. So, looks like we've got some pretty decent roads here. They get a little bit more narrow. I'd hate to fall off the sides down there. But yeah, not too shabby. I love this map. It's so cool. It reminds me of Hawaii a little bit. It's kind of the style. It's kind of got the Hawaiian style license plate down there. Ooh, this is definitely a heavy load. Not sure we can really get going super fast on this unless we were to go downhill. But with that being the case, this thing seems to handle all right, all things considered. So without going into too much more detail on this, looks like we had 35 checkpoints. This is going to be an interesting journey. So we're going to dive down here and how this is usually going to work, how we kind of do our attempts and kind of score ourselves. The first attempt here, we're going to do this in third-person view with the automatic transmission in. We're going to go as fast as we possibly can to try to complete this, but we do want to complete it, so we might not push the envelope quite as much. Once we do complete that, we're going to come back and try to do this in the first-person view, again with the automatic transmission. Usually in a race car, we can kind of feel the weight distribution and shift in the vehicle quite a bit better. For this industrial vehicle, I have no idea, so that'll be a different experience entirely. And if for some reason we have not been able to complete a good time in either of those two opportunities, we can always come back and in first person or third person, go through into a manual gearbox and kind of control the gears manually, which would be a huge chore on this vehicle. I'm sure it's got at least 18 gears is my guess. But without further ado, let's dive on in and try to get this thing going as fast as we can. Oh, wow, we are skipping wheels and definitely thrashing this drivetrain, trying to get this thing up. We got that bucket back there slowly spinning. It's going to be interesting to see, like this. Like, you can't easily see where you're going. But 27 miles an hour, 26, and we're slowing down in 7th gear. We're probably going to shift up to 6th here pretty soon. Look at that PSI gauge over there. That turbo is just screaming 30-plus PSI. Wow. Yeah, this is a heavy load. It looks like it's going to be definitely full of concrete. Or cement, I should say. Or liquid concrete? Cement turns into... That's an interesting situation. I've not really thought about that before, what the difference between concrete and cement is. I'm sure there's a technical reason, and if someone out there knows, please post in the comment section down below. This is a really narrow road. Oh my goodness, golly gee whiz. I do not want to fall off on the left-hand side. That seems a little dangerous there. Now we got to go a little bit slower. We can see this thing wants to immediately lift up that right rear side of the vehicle. If we take a turn too sharp, we're going to topple on over. And now we are going downhill, so hopefully we don't have our brakes getting overheated. I'm assuming that's in the game, and that's still definitely a thing. That looked like some sort of plane down there, part of a plane. This is such a cool map. It's so awesome. It looks really good, and especially if you can run it on higher settings, the fidelity is pretty impressive. Now we don't want to topple this thing over before. Just in free roam before, when I've run a few of these vehicles in the past, if you're not careful and you make real quick turns, you really don't get a good grasp of, there we go, how much momentum and weight this actually is. And so you got to be very smooth and gentle there on the actual vehicle and the driving, which is difficult to do with the controller. Ooh, okay, so we got some roadblocks there. We're going to turn left and go downhill. But with a wheel, I definitely know that it would be a lot smoother. So got some road runoff there, some really cool steam stuff going on. I'm assuming that's either from geothermal or, some volcano stuff in action going on. We're going to give this a little bit of juice. I want to get it going down the hill a little bit faster. We are trying to win. I also, though, don't necessarily want to topple this thing over. That would be a catastrophic situation. And since this is a new cement truck, I doubt that whoever we're delivering it to would be very happy about that. But we are cruising 40, 45. We got a corner down here at the end of the road. We might have been able to make this, but then going to the other side would transfer that weight super hardcore, and that would be an utter disaster. This road also tightens to the left, it looks like, going from, in rally terms, about a 4 to a 3. So we were set up for failure there if we carried a big pile of speed. Wow, talk about a bumpy road. But we are doing what we can. We're working our way down through here. These are the missions that I really enjoy. They're just different, and they really kind of, it's a nice adventure, but you can still be competitive on it. Making sure that you get to the end and then really pushing it to see what happens. Oh boy, lifting up that left rear set of wheels there just a little tiny bit, going a little too fast, and thankfully we had enough road to kind of ease up on that turn and kind of run a little wide, and we were okay. So we are only at 11 out of 35 checkpoints. Holy wow, this is going to be an adventure, folks. A beautiful red cabin over there as I almost topple the truck. Oh man. So we can't go that way. Looks like that's where the trees are. So we're gonna slowly back this up, and looks like we're gonna go through on the dirt road. Oh boy. We do not want to go too fast on this. I don't really know. It's hard to see, too. I don't really know, boy. I don't know. One, this is really steep. Two, there's not much margin for error here on the sides of these roads. This is a good example of where first person would probably be the better choice to drive down through this. But we did get to this section of road down here, a bit more of a hard packed. Oh, over rev risk. Apparently we over-revved it going down the hill, maybe? Oh, man, it looks like we possibly over-revved the engine. That's not good. Not good at all. But it looks like a bit more of a hard-packed dirt road, which is cool. Ooh, we're going through a quarry, it looks like. Pretty cool, pretty spiffy. Later on, we're going to run into a scenario with a little tiny Ibisho Pigeon, which is the 3-wheeled truck. You have to run through here as quick as you can. That is a riot of a good mission. That scenario is a lot of fun. But it looks like with this, we're going to get back to a road. Apply the brakes a little bit there. Hang a left is my guess. Yeah, the road is, that tree back there is down. So now we can get back here on the road. And apparently we had an over-rev risk. That sucks. We should probably let the, oh man, would we even really know? I don't know. That's really the question. Would we as a driver know? If we did, oh man, I would probably say that the detour that we had and what we had to go through revved a little bit high, but it should be fine. Oh man, that'd be a crappy situation to be in. You're trying to deliver a vehicle and a product, and you have damage it on the way. The moral and ethical thing to do is let the person know. But oh man, got that turbo over there. The PSI just cranked when we're on full throttle. You can just hear that whistle whine. Oh man, it's so good. 58 miles an hour, doing pretty good down here. Any quick maneuvers and movements though is not going to be good. So let's kind of ease off that, stab that brake a little bit, kind of slow on down as we go through the tunnel. Get the sound in there from this big giant truck with full PSI kind of cruising through. Not too shabby. But we'll get our camera out of the ceiling up there. And we'll kind of look over here on the left-hand side and see what this looks like down here. If there was oncoming cars, we would be at such a huge risk. Thankfully, it's just us. Later, left wheels there came off the ground. The AI in free roam, some maps can actually be set up to drive vehicles, which is pretty darn cool. You're going to run into situations where on maps and scenarios where there's going to be cars and they will stop. They'll try to avoid you. There'll be accidents. It's pretty nifty. So this game has come a long way with getting AI vehicles in game and doing different things, which is pretty darn cool. Additionally, depending when you're watching this, as of the date of recording, there is a preliminary mod effort for multiplayer, which is pretty darn cool. And from what I can see, it works pretty okay, though there is opportunity for improvement. But if you're watching this later on in the year of 2020 or after, either I'm assuming multiplayer, the mod has been improved to the point where it's fantastic, or the main game developers are actually going to be working on implementing that natively, which would be pretty cool. Mostly I'm excited for stuff like that. Man, there's more trees up here. I'd be more excited for multiplayer, for demolition derbies and stuff like that. There's a lot of demo derby areas in different maps in the game, and you can play it locally. There's a few scenarios where if you have 4 people on a single computer, you can play it, which is a lot of fun. But, you know, it's a slightly different story than meeting up with your buds and your mates online, just like you can on like Wreckfest and stuff, and get some games in. Wow, this is a hugely overgrown area. This is cool. Wow, those are real tight roads in here. This looks like it's definitely some sort of old CCC or old logging or mining camp or something. It's definitely seen better days. Kind of surprised we're taking this path, but hey, the pavement in here doesn't seem so bad. Looks like we are getting closer to the end goal that we got here, which is pretty darn cool. Ooh, don't want to lose this. We're going a little bit fast. Let's kind of meander through this area. These shipping containers, these have been here for quite some time, if I had to guess. Oh boy. And just trying to work my way through this 2-track. I don't want to topple this over. We're so close to the finish. I got to be careful here driving up. I don't want to catch that lip over there. Also don't want to topple it over too much. And hey, here it is. I guess we're building something over here, so that's pretty darn cool. Nice. Heavy machinery delivery, that's going to be a success at 8 minutes, 35.75 seconds. Oh, buddy, that is super, super cool. Well, we're going to try this one more time here. Definitely going to be in first-person camera to kind of take a look here at the vehicle, see what it looks like, and do our best as possible. And looks like you've got down here the Gavril Trucks plate with all the levers and switches and knobs. This is properly industrial and simple. Looks like we got some leather seats, some gears down there. Pedals, clutch, all that stuff. You can see the truck back there slowly rotating, doing its thing, which is pretty awesome. So, yeah, we're going to do this here in automatic. Wow, this thing is real jumpy. And lots of torque, lots of gearing, and probably the wheels getting some grip. But I don't think we're going to have to go into a third-person view on this. This would be a very, very long video if we had, or sorry, first-person view with manual transmission. I don't know as if, with how careful we have to be on this, if we could really get there any faster. That being said, this hill climb there, we are at the top end as much as possible of these gears up here. And turning, we're going to lose some a little bit. Man, I wonder if there's boost in here too somewhere. I'm sure there is. Turbo PSI, bottom left down there, it is just pegged. Oh man, that is so cool. It's, as a player of like American Truck Simulator and European Truck Simulator 2 and stuff, getting more and more fidelity and higher quality interaction and working gauges and stuff in BeamNG is always exciting, especially when they add more. It just gives more opportunity that if you want, you can get in here and really try some cool stuff, which is awesome. And you're just gonna have a blast of a good time doing it. So I think we are going to be a little bit faster in first-person view. We can kind of feel the weight a little bit, is my guess. I could be proven horribly wrong on that. But we are a bit more familiar with kind of what we're going to run into. And usually the second and third runs, you're going to run into a situation where you're faster in general, unless you make some mistakes or you're a little bit uncareful, which is always the case to be cognizant of. So working the steering wheel all the way over. Give it a little bit of juice. Try to get up there a little bit faster. Man, look at that view. That is crazy. Now, I did spend some time, myself and Mrs. Toast, over in Hawaii many years ago. And this sort of viewpoint right here, this is more or less on the flavor and the vibe of what you get if you go over there and visit. Whether it's Maui or any of the other islands, it's really cool. It is definitely a tourist location. The economy there for a lot of the locals isn't super great. The job opportunities aren't super great. So I mean, it definitely has. There is a another side to paradise over there, as they say. But if you do get a chance to move there, you can have a fantastic view set. You can, I mean, if you go with the right expectations, you're gonna have a pretty good time, and you're gonna be very, very successful over there, and just in general. But what's really cool is if you're visiting, it's definitely a touristy location. There's some cool stuff there, but I do encourage you kind of go into some more of the local areas. Avoid the common tourist traps. Things aren't quite as expensive as the tourist brochures and stuff claim them to be. And if you kind of avoid some of the crazy, crazy big operations and go for a bit more of the smaller mom and pop situations and tours and guided situations or just businesses, you're going to have a much better opportunity to help someone locally with their business and just their general prosperity. But you're also going to get a better experience because it's going to be more personalized, and you're going to be talking with people that generally care about their business, care about their clients, and all that fun stuff. But that aside, we're here to do some BeamNG, not necessarily talk about the amazingness that is Hawaii and its people, though they absolutely are. And we're doing our best here to try to not overheat our brakes. We didn't really have that risk the first time around, so we can always try to push it a little bit more here. We just got to be careful on how top heavy this is. You can kind of feel the back end's weight a little bit, but you don't really see it too much on the screen because the back end is going to flex quite a bit more before it starts to drag the front end over. And if you're not careful, it's going to take the whole truck with it and flop on over. So here's going to be that stuff. We got to get hang a sharp right over here. I'm going to try to turn it. I don't think we're going to have enough. Yeah, not going to quite have enough clearance. Man, just spinning some wheels down there, trying to get up this dirt road path. It's hard to see over the nose of this. Trying to be okay. We're still on the road. It's very, very disconcerting when you lose visibility on where you are, and it's hard here in this particular the game with the default vehicles and the camera setups to lean out the window. There are a few different vehicle mods that are out there that are user made that do have some really cool and useful camera angles where it basically simulates you looking out and down out the window so you can see where your tires are and stuff like that. A lot of it is going to be on definitely your rock crawler vehicles and so on and so forth. We're going a little fast. Oh boy. Definitely using the air ride suspension that time around. But those camera angles, I have found that I've been very, very appreciative of them. They've been really, really cool. But now, generally when you're driving these big rig vehicles, even here in BeamNG, just like if you're in American Truck Simulator or any of those sort of simulators, whether it's Skoda or a few others, you still have to do the exact same thing because it's physics-based. Take wide turns, be cognizant of where the rear end and your rear wheels of your vehicle are going to be rolling to, because if you're not careful, you're going to find yourself in a bad situation. And no one wants to see that. No one wants that to happen. It's always going to be a rough spot if that does occur. And so just general caution, general concern, general driving skills still do translate, which is pretty cool. And to a certain extent, some of the skills that you will get here from this game, just like in American Truck Sim and a few other places, they will transfer to real life as well. It's a bit more of a mindset on, keep in mind, what do I have to be watchful for? What kind of, checklist do I need to keep my eyes on, my mind rotating through? Specifically when it comes to backing up trailers, coming up on a turn, how much time and space do I have for traffic? So there's definitely some real world skills that do transfer, as well as some fun ones, which is driving crazy cool vehicles here in BeamNG, as well as wrecking stuff. Now, I was keeping an eye on there. Thankfully, we got away with it. But if I was a little bit too close to the left-hand side of that tunnel exit, the top of the vehicle in the truck would have likely caught and torn off or wedged us in there where we would damage the truck, because this whole rig on the back of the truck is much, much taller than the cab. And so you got to be cognizant of how tall your vehicle is and kind of where the waypoints are too. Some of these limbs up here can be an issue, not so much on this map, but if you get into some tighter off-road sections, it is something to be cognizant of, because you can get your vehicle stuck and not high-centered, but the reverse of it. Low-centered? I'm not really sure, but basically where it snags something on the top end and you're going to have yourself a bad day. Our boost is still ramping up, doing a lot of good stuff up there. And we got some more trees up here, swinging wide, cutting in. Not too far. We almost cut that foliage back there, but thankfully, looks like we did pretty good. Doesn't really seem to affect the truck. I don't think we've wrecked anything. Taking this wide to get the rear wheels to not fall off the inside track here on this 2-track. That would be very, very painful and problematic. This looks so much better in first person. This is definitely overgrown, not used very often. Or if it is being used, it is currently trying to be reclaimed, which is pretty cool. There is some sort of shipping port in here, it looks like, which is always going to be interesting. Kind of wiggle around here. Don't want to get going too fast. We're going to get a little top heavy. I don't want to start shifting weight to the left and then to the right and then to the left. I don't want a pendulum because that will eventually bring the truck over if we're not careful. And we're going to slam it forward into the home stretch as much as possible, watching for that right side. Thankfully, we missed that. And we definitely did it a little bit faster, which is pretty cool. 7 minutes and 41.6 seconds on the dot. Oh, man, that is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, dude. So if you're looking for some cool missions, especially driving some heavier equipment, this is going to be the mission for you. And it looks like our vehicle is all in one piece, which is pretty darn awesome. It is still spinning around, which is pretty darn cool. And yeah, so without further ado, we're going to turn this sucker around and see if we can't back this up and then get some speed rolling through here and see what trouble we can get ourselves into. I'm sure it's going to be a lot. Oh, buddy. Oh, man. Look at all that stuff flexing back there. All of that stuff happening. We're going to get as much speed as we can. Oh, we just wrecked that backside up. Not good. Not good at all. Oh, man. Ooh, and right into the front of the vehicle. Oh, man. That's all smashed up. Looks like we might have even potentially bent the frame. Thankfully, this is still spinning, but there's a lot of stuff up here that ain't going to work very well anymore. Pretty cool. Man, it's even got the spinners inside. That's awesome. But that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for stopping on by for another scenario. This has been a little bit different, a little bit more fun, I think, than some of the other ones that we've done. And yeah, thank you much for stopping on by. And as always, I'll see you next time.